Good evening and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your host, Greg Tompsett, along with my partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron,
Yo,
it never, ever gets old beating the Patriots. How do you feel?
I was looking for my dry erase marker. One of my kids must have gotten their hands on it because I wanted to make a sign about just how awesome it is to just dominate the New England Patriots and that the Buffalo Bills are kind of their daddy at this point here in recent history. Man, we were talking about a little bit here offline, enjoying Patriots Twitter meltdown after an absolute, what you would call, I think, a mollywhopping.
Yes, I did. I did call it. I predicted a mollywhopping, and then it was a mollywhopping.
Yeah.
I only know one way to enjoy that, and I'm gonna.
There you go. I'm out of jumbos. I got to get down there.
And Uncle Jumbo's. We're gonna.
It's also too late for me. I need like a.
Yeah,
I need a. Hey, you've been traveling all day though. You need a little bit of this.
Seriously, yeah.
For yourself.
Simmer down here.
I can almost smell the effervescence of the jumbos coming through.
It's delightful. So everyone is joining us because the Buffalo Bills have just dispatched the New England Patriots 24-10. At no point was this game ever in question. The Bills controlled it from the very beginning and simply slowly and methodically pulled away. Maybe one of the more oddly, dominant wins without being like a, formal blowout. It wasn't like the 38-3 Steelers game or the 43-7 Titans game, but I never felt concerned or worried that the Patriots offense was going to do a thing.
Yeah, I think that's where it really was, outside of the big play that I'll take the loss there. My guy DeMar comes up on that screen. We can get to it when we get to it. It was a rough
angle.
But like you can live with a one big play a game. They didn't allow that to get out of control. The defense really clamped up from there on out because we'll get through these plays like we always do here. But there was a stretch where the offense did their typical punt, fumble, punt, and it felt like, man, if this was a good team that you felt could score against you, you could really be in that situation again where you're leaving a team hanging around in this game. But fortunately for them, for the Bills, the defense really just kept clamps on all night. And really at the end of the game, it was just almost comical about how, even in garbage time moments, the Patriots were just fumbling all over themselves, really trying to get points on the board.
Yeah, check down after check down after check down. Heck, even the one touchdown they did score was a bubble screen that, you just had an insanely fast guy who got a bad angle and one bad angle and, was able to then outrace everybody down the sideline. So it wasn't like Mac Jones had anything to do with that play.
No.
What was there, and over again, it was just check down, check down, check down. His average depth of target was embarrassingly low. If you remove the one bubble screen play, his yards per attempt was like 3.7. It was ridiculous the way that they approached it. And looking at this, it's not going to look crazy with the numbers. Josh Allen was 22-33, so 66% completion percentage, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Did have the one strip sack that obviously was a blindside. That's not on Josh. That's on David Quessenberry.
You'd like to see him hang on to the ball when he's getting contact. But he was trying to make a play, and I think you said it really well on one of the touchdowns. We reward the effort from Josh. We also have to live with the consequences of it. But I think with that stat line at Josh, the most impressive thing was the patience I think that he displayed against this Belichick defense. You didn't see any of the frantic play that we've seen at spots this year. Taking the checkdowns and letting those be productive was a thing in this game. He really just took what Belichick gave him in this game, which was really, if you're a Bills fan and you were at all worried about Josh this year and in this offense, I thought that was a good sign here. Because if there's a defense to panic against, it's still the Belichick defense, right? And the looks that he shows you.
And
with this offensive line,
their offense and their offensive line isn't anything, but their defense was healthy coming into today. Their defense had their key players.
And, Judon didn't make his presence overly felt in this game.
Uche had the one, really good couple good reps. Obviously, David Quessenberry was one. He's not a great pass protecting tackle when he's healthy. When he's struggling through it and like barely can keep on his feet, he just doesn't have much of a shot at all.
I do think Herbstreit at the end of the game brought up a good point, because I saw a lot of just people ripping on Quessenberry and getting him out of the game. I think this is one of those moments. You said it, right? Like, he's a backup. He's in a tough spot going against guys like Judon and Uche. And to be in that spot hurt and play hurt all game and come back time and time again, I do think there should be a hats off. I don't know that a game ball is necessarily, but the type of guts it takes to go out there and know you're getting worked over and over again on national TV, and just to be a warm body so that Bobby Hart doesn't have to come out and be a part of the game plan. Hats off to Questenberry for putting it out there on the line. Even though it wasn't pretty.
I want to ask everybody, please pause what you're doing right now. Go out, press the like button, help us out. This comment, it really was
so good.
It was so delicious to watch Bill Belichick take the give up pity field goal at the end to cut it from 17 to 14 with 2 minutes left in there. And then to do that, and then, you know, you're kind of in that, hey guys, we're still trying. We're going to try some onside kick. And then he ate 3 timeouts and didn't even take the timeouts to try to cause the punt. So to get the pity give up field goal and then to eat the 3 timeouts, I just,
it's
that
beautiful.
was,
I think there was a sign of
good.
respect, which I think was classy of Sean McDermott, because I don't
to go and take a knee and not line up for a run play.
I don't think that Belichick ever did that throughout the drought. Like, I don't think he ever came out after an onside or something like that and just ran the game out like that. So I think after it was decided that the Bills were going to come out and run that clock out, I think Bill knew that game was over and there was no need to play. He's going to
we might as well toss it in right here. That was going to be my Uncle Jumbo's responsible play of the game, was when they did that. And coming out to take a knee, not even lining up to run the ball, where they had just done it a couple times to them previously. Hey, you know, they got into the fourth quarter here and pretty much did everything possible not to put Josh Allen at risk. That whole idea of the 6 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, fullback, everybody out there, just, hey, let's just get this game over with. There's no possibility they're coming back on us. That overall idea was my Uncle Jumbo's responsible play of the game.
Yes, I was glad they did, because when I first saw them coming out too, I was like, seeing Josh, and even at first Diggs was running out. It's like, what are you guys doing? Why are even these guys? They should be celebrating on the sideline, right? But then just come out and run out, not do anything silly, not waste it. That's a good one for sure.
Yeah. Before we get into the drive by drive breakdown here, shout out Tremaine Edmonds. I think played a fantastic game.
Oh my god!
Was just, you know, some of the big hits people have been asking for. Some of those, you know, impact plays, you know, really some really big, you know, couple tackles for a loss, couple really big hits on Ramondre Stevenson, who is
step for step with Stevenson in coverage.
Oh yeah, and I mean Stevenson is now getting that he's like in that tier below, you know, Derrick Henry, you know, where like he's just a guy you don't want to tackle and being in that kind of position. So shout out to him. Shout out to Xavier Rhodes coming in, you know, off the practice squad and off the street to play. I won't lie, what kind of looked like 80-90% of snaps. I saw Dane Jackson a couple times.
I took my L on Twitter. I'll take it here too, that I did not think the Bills would pull away from Dane Jackson so quickly. We've seen them let players play out of slumps and dig their way out of playing poorly. And I put it out this week. Like, I think over the last 3 to 4 weeks, he's probably played the worst football of the season for himself, Dane Jackson. But overall, I think he's been an average corner. But the Bills agree with Bill's Twitter here, and they made the move. And we don't know really what was going on with Elam and that him not being active. So we don't know how that would eventually play into this cornerback rotation here. But Rhodes must have done something along with Dane Jackson's play to give the Bills confidence. I thought he did fine. And then another guy, I think, had a game where people feel like he's been picked on a lot this year was Taron Johnson. Was good. He was sticky in coverage. He was good in run support. I think he had a nice bounce back game in this one too.
Yeah, I'll take a half a W. I had made the claim that it had to be time for Dane Jackson's position to be questioned. It had to be time. I did think that it was going to be Elam. So obviously he either was there's a big debate before the game. Was he a pure healthy scratch and benched? There were comments from Leslie Frazier in his press conference about how they were still dealing with the pain, with his injury and trying to be careful with it. It kind of seemed like a scenario where, since they didn't put him on the injury report, they had to say it was a healthy scratch, or else they can get fined for then sitting him due to an injury if it wasn't reported. But it's possible he was just benched and sat for rookie circumstances. It sounds like the information we were getting is that wasn't the case, and that there was some kind of pain management or injury in place, but the Bills can't say that because then they'd get fined for it. So I did not get it right on the fact that I thought Elam would be the starter there, but I was glad that they didn't.
Next game.
Yeah, they didn't stubbornly stick to Dane Jackson over and over again when he just, was showing that he was okay in coverage, like you said, average in coverage,
right?
But just losing at the point of attack over and over again. So, I think this is a game he probably would have looked okay too, just like Xavier Rhodes did.
We were talking about a little offline, right? Like a tough game, even though I said Taryn just had a good game, tough game to judge corners. They really weren't attacked. It really, at any point in this game, late in the game, there was a couple throws downfield, but I mean, they were taken away with the pass rush, mix of pass rush and coverage. It seemed like they were taking away even any throws. There was a lot of check down screens. They weren't even really being tested in that way.
Yeah, also a weird game that this is going to look like there was one sack in this entire game.
Oh, man.
But they were after and harassing Mac Jones constantly the entire game, causing throwaways, causing checkdowns, causing dump offs, nearly causing a safety with him literally just kind of like
panic dropping the ball.
Yeah, panic dropping the ball in front of him. Yeah. But let's see where that goes. But let's start out. The Bills that we won a coin toss again. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. We were able to finally get the ball. The Patriots that are out there. We get a 3-and-out. We get the ball back. We get it going on a drive. It was okay. Josh had the weird kind of panic drop check down to Nyheim Hines that he took for 21 yards.
Yeah.
Got a push off with a pass
interference
for Diggs.
I feel like that's it. I thought the game at that call was going to get called real tight, and it eventually didn't. I think they loosened up a little bit, but that's a play I see every single time a wide receiver gets it. Like wide receivers always are pushing off. They always have their hands. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't egregious. So that one kind of bothered me because then it puts you in 1st and 20, right? Like that, it puts you behind the chains when you were doing some good things here.
Yeah, and then I don't hate the run there. I don't love it on 1st and 20, but Singletary gets 5. Then Josh does get pressured, and they kind of tackle him at the line of scrimmage. So now it's 2nd and 15.
Well, Questenberry tripped over himself there too. That was like the beginning of oh, crap, this is gonna be a long day with Questenberry.
And might be where he injured his ankle further.
Could be. Yeah.
It looked like it. Then Spencer Brown false starts. We're at 3rd and 20, and then we're simply in just check down here to make it a manageable field goal. They get it from probably a 58-yard field goal down to a 48-yard field goal. Bass converts. Okay, we're up 3-0. It's not perfect, but okay. The corresponding drive for the Patriots after they got the 3-and-out, nothing crazy. A quick little throw to Hunter Henry, run for Ramondre Stevenson. Okay, no big deal. Then they get a little something to Nelson Aguilar. You get a holding penalty that calls them back in a little bit of a check down. And then they bring in Marcus Jones, who is their dynamic, the fastest player on their roster.
Before that, Tim Settle caused a fumble, great play on a screen, huge hustle play that I hope somebody puts that out there because it caused the turnover that Patriots ended up recovering. But this is the swing of the NFL here, where you have a play like that could go your way, gets recovered, and then it comes back to go ahead and continue on with this drive.
Yeah, and maybe even the second time Stevenson and Mac Jones. Mac Jones, they credited the first fumble on the miscommunication, but then Stevenson puts it on the ground there. They get some fumble luck. Nelson Aguilar falls on it, and then I guess kind of shame on the Bills not noticing that they brought Marcus Jones onto the field for the first time. It was his first offensive snap of the season.
Yeah. So you don't have film on that.
So yeah, you're not
group.
You kind of have to hope that would raise a flag of some kind. He is the fastest player on the roster. He is the dynamic guy who had the walk-off punt return touchdown, and has been their game changer throughout the season. And good for them finding a way to scheme a guy like that on, into the open field. It was, DeMar Hamlin, I think, again, not recognizing that, maybe just seeing 25 and thinking it's like Damian Harris or thinking it's a running back. He comes up ready to make a tackle, takes an angle you would take on maybe a bigger running back or someone like that, not Marcus Jones, and immediately over pursues. He jukes him. And then I'd love for Jordan Poyer I'd love to pretend to be mad that, hey, Jordan, why can't you catch a guy who ran like a 4.31 40? But
Jordan did catch him, but he just slipped through. Like Jordan was there, but
he was, chasing with him. But that's an incredibly fast dude. So
I was
good on them.
Jordan
Respect
there.
for them of scheming it up.
That play too, I think the Bills got caught a little bit with their pants down. Taron Johnson's coming on a blitz there. That plays right into the play if they get that off. Taron doesn't swat that down. They've got the numbers advantage that they're looking for. They've got a blocker on the outside corner, and they've got the numbers advantage with a deep safety. DeMar was the deep safety on that. Now he's got to come all the way up to the line of scrimmage and make that play. That you want him to get contact. Really, that's all I'm asking for. I don't need the tackle to be made every single time on a play like that, but you don't want to allow that guy to get out to full speed to where guys can't make the angle on him. So frustrated with DeMar. He definitely probably the worst play of his career. Definitely one he wants back.
That's not going to be enjoyable in film breakdown.
He had the next drive, he had another one that he almost missed on. But I do think he responded well, which I think the Bills coaching staff will take that and how you respond to a big play like that and the mental toughness, because he's still a young player. This is his second year, right? These are still early reps in his career. So to give up a gigantic play like that could have been, hey, you're allowing a team to stay in a game that doesn't belong in this game. Those are the kind of plays that'll do it. For him to come back and not let that unfold and still play with the aggressiveness that he typically has played with, good on him.
Yeah. And just a quick comment. I know somebody in the chat asked, is this make Kaiir Elam a bust?
No. God.
One, that's absurd. The reason is crazy is the reason we were kind of upset or frustrated is Kaiir Elam's been playing really well. Eric did a really good breakdown of like how well he's trending and how he's coming on and what an important part of our future is going to be, which is why I was so excited about the idea of Trey White and Kaiir Elam as our starting combo. So that's also why we feel very confident this wasn't him being benched. I know some of the beat reporters were trying to run with that, well, the Bills said it was a healthy scratch, so therefore it had to be him getting benched. You can be a grown-up and use a little bit of context clues here that there was more to it than that.
This one's tough, though. I won't make a stand either way to speculate because we're not going to ever know. Yeah. Right? Like, this isn't going to be a story that Sean McDermott's not going to give anybody any information either way on. If Kaiir Elam plays next week, I don't think we can assume anything and just kind of have to roll with it. The game ended up how it went. Like, I don't know. I think people are going to make too much out of this story, and it doesn't mean anything about the player, in my opinion. It could have been matchup specific, too. It could have been Rhodes is good at tackling in man. We're fine with Dane Jackson. If something goes wrong, he's a good running tackler. He can come up and make plays in the run game. It could have been something as simple as that. I don't know. It's tough to speculate these things. Like, I don't want to draw attention to something that the team maybe finagled either. Like, I don't know. I think that it's all speculative at this point, and only Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, and the training staff probably know what's going on.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we'll know more coming into this next game, because all of a sudden, if Xavier Rhodes inarguably had a good game, so if they all of a sudden switch back to Kaiir Elam, it obviously wasn't him being benched. If Kaiir Elam comes back and starts, it was very clearly another reason, because Xavier Rhodes did nothing to not earn an additional start here. So if they switch back and we go back to Trey White and Kaiir Elam,
Rhodes did not look great on his targets.
I will absolutely claim that that's 100% what happened.
Sure. Right now, though, it's all speculative because we don't know what we don't know about what happened tonight.
So this next drive, the Bills get the ball back. We get a little something going with a lot of James Cook. You get a nice check down that he takes for a little bit. Get a couple runs. We get a pass interference where the defender for the Patriots kind of trips and tackles Gabe Davis, and then you get James Cook breaking off a 28-yarder. So this drive was basically all James Cook down the field besides the penalty. And then the first quarter actually comes to an end. So this is actually the point where the second quarter starts with the first play is Stephon Diggs absolutely roasting his man. And I know they're excited about the future, and I think that, Jonathan Jones is going to be a good DB going forward, but to assume that he's ready, and I know some Patriots fans were, talking real proud about, what he was ready to do. Stephon Diggs put him in the blender multiple times tonight, and that touchdown catch was certainly one of them. You could tell that Jones was talking trash because Diggs certainly turned around and let him know about it, that he, certainly turned him around to get that easy touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, I think Diggs will let anybody. I think you could be quiet all game long and Diggs will let you know what he just did to you. He is that kind of guy. But no, I mean, what a tough assignment for any quarterback in the league. He's turned around Jalen Ramsey and made him look silly, right? Like we take for granted what it is Stephon Diggs can do in a game. Really, I say it all the time. He's a top 3 receiver over the last 4 years in the NFL. He's a top 5 receiver in the game, or top 3 for sure. And it's on display. And the way the NFL is today, these corners, even the best in the league, can't hang with them for all these reps. So I think the Patriots fan should feel confident that he's going to be a good corner for a long time in that scheme, but he's still going to have to play Stephon Diggs 2 times a year with Josh Allen. It's really the connection between the two of them. It just is like a magnet. That ball's on a rope every time and it's right there and he's catching it. So just a tough matchup for any DB in the NFL right now.
Yeah, so now you get the Bills have pretty good kick return coverage plus a penalty. They start back at like the 8.5, 9-yard line. You get a tackle for a loss by Shaq Lawson, where like it looked like their rookie running back Harris ran into a brick wall and went straight down.
Yeah.
And then on the next play, you have the combination one where Cole Strange was holding, that gets declined. Mac Jones, like you said, kind of panic fluffs the ball forward at the like 6-inch line and barely doesn't get called for a safety there.
Yeah.
And then Ramondre Stevenson almost gave me like heartburn running for 16 yards on 3rd and 17.
Well, that's the one that Hamlin was almost whiffed on. Yeah, he did whiff on it, and luckily they were able to stop it at the 1. But yeah, almost another big play given up there by Hamlin.
Yeah, so it ends up as a 3-and-out, and here's where the Bills come back again.
Yeah.
Answer back this one, a 14-play, 56-yard touchdown drive, because again the Patriots are punting out of their own end zone.
I didn't pick this one, Greg, but this could have been a drive of the game.
Sure, this one kind of put it away.
In hindsight, for sure, because of some of what happens here next. But it also was, you had 4 third downs and they were all 3rd and shorts on this drive. You had a 3rd and 3. They converted to a pass to McKenzie. You had a 3rd and 1 where Singletary grinded out. You had another 3rd and 3 where McKenzie did one of those Beasley kind of routes where he got it and took it up for the third down conversion. Then you get a touchdown to Gabe Davis. And that's the one that you sort of wrote about, how these are the ones that have actually turned into interceptions a lot this year. And now we're applauding him for doing it. But them, that's 2 of those 3rd downs were in the red zone where they've struggled also this year. To have the success and the short yardage stuff was a huge positive sign for this offense for me in this game. I think we saw a lot of positives in the offense later in the game too.
Yeah. And this one, that tweet you mentioned, this touchdown play where Josh Allen is scrambling around and getting away and then rolls out to the right and then stops right before he goes out of bounds and literally has to jump in the air to stop himself from going out of bounds, to throw back across his body with 3 defenders, 2 of which were in front of Gabe Davis when he let go of the ball. And good on him, he did kind of direct the ball back a little bit. That play was almost identical to the play that Patrick Peterson picked off in the first interception against the Vikings, and it's similar to the ugly one against the Packers. And it's awesome, but just people need to be aware that, hey, this is what we talk about when we say Josh Allen is a package deal, and when we reference things like Brett Favre. Like, it's great, he's always going to keep us in games, he's always going to want to make a play, but the 6 red zone turnovers we've had the last 5 weeks, that play that was a touchdown, it's awesome when it's a touchdown, but it's basically the same play. Like, he's always going to try to make something happen. And luckily for us, more times it works out. But that run he's had the last 5 weeks, it's the same play basically. So just make sure you understand it's a package deal.
It's definitely more easy to swallow when it's the other team can't score against you. It makes it a little easier. Like, go ahead, take all the risks you want. Because really, I don't want to jump the gun too much here, because then they come out, this is a 3-and-out for the Pats, but really, Greg, there's a stretch here for the Patriots in this game. In this first half, they had 6 first half drives. 4 of these drives, I have some stats for you, they had 4 3-and-outs totaling 15 yards of offense. They had 1 drive that had 0 yards, 3 plays, 0 yards, a minute and 23 seconds off the clock. They had 2 drives with 3 yards and 1 drive with 9 yards, and it took a total of 6 minutes. That's your Patriots first half offensive production. People don't give Leslie Frazier enough credit. And Sean McDermott, you can give Sean McDermott too, but like the stuff that they do, the types of clamps that they put on offenses, this game is designed for offenses to move the ball up and down the field and score points. And to put that kind of clamp down on a team, I don't care if it's the New England Patriots struggling with Mac Jones. Look what that Mac Jones did to the Minnesota Vikings defense a week ago.
378 yards.
Still an NFL quarterback. Yeah, they embarrassed this offense and didn't allow them to do anything, push the ball down the field. It was an absolutely incredible feat. I didn't want that to go unnoticed here in the lots of 3-and-outs of how impressive those 3-and-outs were.
Yeah, love that one from Eric Farrell talking about the Josh Allen looks special without breaking a sweat. And Elizabeth, I'm glad you enjoyed that. I won't lie, like I do technically know Justin Murray's name, but I pride myself on I know this team really well. I can pick out every player on the roster by just seeing his face. I don't think I could with Justin Murray. Like if you showed me a picture and said, "Hey, is that Justin Murray?" I don't know if he's a Caucasian or an African American. I don't know if he's tall or heavy, or I have no idea. I know that he's an offensive lineman that was on our practice squad, and that is literally the extent of my knowledge. So at one point,
number.
Yeah, correct. I have no idea what number he is.
Yeah.
At one point, the fact that a human named Justin Murray was protecting the blind side of our $258 million franchise quarterback, Joshua Patrick Allen, I was not comfortable with that.
I wasn't comfortable with Quessenberry.
Yeah, nor Bobby Hart.
Like
none of the things were good.
It's not a good situation.
Pat in here, so yeah, I was having a stroke on the number of 2nd and 10 runs that we were having in my game day thread, but.
You know what though? That was the thing last year too, and most of them ended up being Josh checking into based on looks the defense is giving him, which is frustrating. You want him to just go with what analytics say anyway, but it's hard for me to be too mad when that is what he's being coached and told that is the right thing to do. When you get this look, take the look that you're given. Pick guys like Peyton Manning, say it's the right thing, but it's hard to watch for sure.
Yeah. So from here forward, the end of the first half was kind of weird. They did have a couple more of those 3-and-outs you mentioned.
Yeah.
The Bills were in position to score. We did see, I watched a 41-yard touchdown that was a 60-yard rope Josh threw.
A freaking boat race from them.
Oh, and that would have made it 24-7 in the first half, just pulling away, destroying them.
Yeah.
Tommy Sweeney,
whatever. That was
hard. The play probably doesn't happen if he doesn't hold, Matt Judon on that play. So, it is what it is. I would love for him to move his feet and be able to stay in front of him. But, Tommy Sweeney one-on-one with Matt Judon's probably not a great strategic setup.
No, and one of the few plays that I felt like Judon really got in and ruined. And the Bills got a ticky-tack holding against Trent Brown. And it didn't result in anything. The result of the play wasn't the same, but there's a couple ticky tacks. I can live with it both ways. It sucks to erase a touchdown, but again, I didn't feel after all these 3-and-outs, I didn't feel like that's a bummer, but they're not scoring, right? You just got to get to 20. That's where I'm at this point. It's 17. I'm bummed that we haven't gotten a field goal and gotten to 20 because I felt like 20 is the mat. Like that's all you need, and this team can't score that.
Yeah, and I think I heard the stat from Herb Street earlier that the Patriots haven't won a game this year, but when they give up more than 17 points.
Yeah. So Fitzy was pounding that then we're stuck at 17 here. And I'm like, come on, just get there.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
And then of course, not only did the holding penalty take the touchdown off the board, but then we set up the play where Quessenberry just gets completely olayed. Josh Uche has a Von Miller-esque, ghost move where he, goes and just ducks under the hands real quick and goes untouched. Josh doesn't see him coming because it's from the blind side, and he smartly doesn't go for the sack. He goes immediately for the ball, knocks it down. Of course, Matt Judon falls on it. The Patriots get the fumble luck on both of them. That they fall on Ramondre Stevenson's fumble, but we end up doing there, and that that's the kind of thing that stops us from being a 31-3 game where all of a sudden if we recover their fumble, they don't get the bubble screen touchdown. If we don't have the penalty there or go back and get a chance to just convert again on the Diggs touchdown, all of a sudden this could be 31-3 instead. But instead we don't. That was going to be the one where I was excited about the double dip. We had like 3 different chances. Then the Patriots come down get in position to actually maybe steal some momentum and get it back to 17-10. And Nick Folk misses the field goal. It hits the crossbar from 48. Not like a super, but I mean, I guess when you see them
They
call
called
up the
it good
practice
right on the
squad, yeah, oh yeah, Al Michaels already said it was good.
Yeah.
But if you connect the dots with them calling up Tristan Vizcaino as their kickoff specialist, Nick Folk might not have that leg anymore. And obviously seeing a 48-yarder that, we watched Tyler Bass kick his 58-yarder into the net.
Yeah.
Folk might not have it anymore.
Maybe not. I do think when Bass hit his 48-yarder, I did have a thought to myself for a second because I'm taking notes and writing down, all right, it's 4th down, it's a 48-yard attempt. And how confident I am. Like, that's not a gimme, a 48-yard attempt in the NFL on a grass turf, or on a grass field. Like, that's not a gimme at all. And for him to do that, I thought was fantastic. One, but then, to show you how an aging guy can't do that. We saw this with Hauschka towards the end, and even Carpenter towards the end. Like, just that range just falls off by a good close to 10 yards.
Yeah. And when it goes quick.
Yeah.
So we go to halftime. Obviously, maybe a little deflating, not like, like, hey, we're still up by 10. It doesn't really matter, but man, we could be up by way more. We could be up, 27-7 pretty easily.
Especially with the run of those 3-and-outs that you had. I was frustrated, even though, again, 17 points in a first half in the NFL is good, right? You're on par to maintain being one of the top scoring offenses in the NFL doing that. But it just felt like, if you could have just got to 20 in the half, that the game's over, it's a wrap. You kind of left the potential window open if they could get something going at half, where we know the Bills have struggled in second half. So I still had confidence. I felt like they were going to get this win. But still a little uncertain of how this half would go. We haven't seen them respond well in the second half all that much.
Yeah, so they get the ball coming out, get a couple things going right off the bat. You get, the play to a run for Singletary, and then they go back to McKenzie. I like
couple nice
rewarding him. Like he looked really good on the option route initially, and they go right back to him where it was one that was no huddle, and Josh basically checked to McKenzie that, hey, they have a safety covering him, but the safety is 15 yards off, and he just immediately rifled McKenzie the ball, and McKenzie
has a nice catch on that.
Catch on that. So a little something going. Then again, go to the no huddle, and kind of check down to Singletary, a little firm with the pass. So I think Singletary kind of should have caught it, but
James Cook caught a bunch of hard ones.
I'd like Motor to catch that. Then you do get a chunk of yards, and Gabe Davis gets called for illegal block in the back again. A penalty kind of derails a drive here. Then Josh scrambles for yards. You get to 3rd and 11, and you're at 3rd and 11 at the 42. Josh kind of scrambles around and takes a deep shot. I would have loved for them to be more comfortable when you're at the 42. Like, you're talking about a 60-yard field goal, so that's not feasible. But at least be smart about, hey, give yourself the option of, hey, if you get 6 or 7 yards. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking about a 53-yard field goal, which is much more doable, or 4th and 4 at the New England 34. You're probably going for that. So I didn't love that moment in that they ran a lot of deep routes, and then Josh just kind of chucked it deep, because then when you're at 4th and 11, I'm actually not that mad at the decision. For the option of a 60-yard field goal or converting 4th 11 are both really low probability plays. So even though I freaking hate the idea of punting from in New England territory, I don't actually, I guess it's probably the lesser of evils, because converting a 60-yarder or converting a 4th and 11 isn't great either, but it was avoidable with a better play call on 3rd and 11.
Yeah. The situation, you want to maybe get in a better situation there, but I don't hate the chucking it up either. I think there's more positive options that happen in chucking it up than a negative one. Like, interception's still not totally a negative one. It's
basically an arm punt.
Yeah, you could count it up as a punt. There's a real chance that you get a pass interference on a play like that. We've seen Tom Brady do that for years, where he chucks it up and you get a pass interference. So there is some positive outcomes that happen in doing that. But yeah, I would have liked to seen more something where even like one of those things that they did with Beasley a couple years ago, where they looks like you're running a bunch of deep routes, but then you just throw something underneath just to get some of that free clearance yards.
They could have done that with
blockers
Cook
up ahead of or Hines or any of those guys, and just try to get some blockers ahead for sure. But again, your defense is held so strong in this game that when it came to the punt, I don't mind the punt in this scenario. Like I knew that they were getting the ball back soon and just had to get right.
Yeah, and you know, of course they did. Here you actually had New England got a little something going for their terms, because it wasn't the ridiculous, 3-and-out stretch that they had. This is the stretch where you had, Max starts running for his life a little bit here. You see the defensive line start to take over. But they get a couple things going. You see the one where AJ Epinesa has the really nice play where he has them actually decline a holding penalty because he got a 4-yard loss. And I agree, 2nd and 14 is better than 1st and 20. And then you have the play where, Mac is scrambling around like crazy and kind of throws it up. And it looks like Poyer has the interception. And I know pre-show we were talking with our fantastic producer, Chris Kepner, about, Jordan Poyer had 3 steps and even shifted the ball to the other hand. Like at that point, isn't the play kind of over? And like you've made a football play. Does it even matter that he's going to the ground there? He got 3 steps in and shifted the ball to the other side. To me, that feels like the play has been accomplished there, and anything that happens out of bounds is no longer relevant. So after 3 steps and shifting the ball, sure, the ball moved a little bit when he hit the ground. It didn't touch the ground. It just moved.
Right.
Like I don't know. I can't figure out. We have so many good things in football. Why don't we know what a catch is?
Yeah, it's really tough that we haven't been able to figure this out and allow some nuance to be inserted into the rule, because the rule is called the way it is written, right? Like this just happened to the Patriots with that Hunter Henry touchdown where you can't tell me that wasn't a touchdown. Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah. We watched that DK Metcalf replay for like 10 minutes last week.
Oh my God, man. It's crazy. There's too much money on the line too. Like luckily this didn't determine the outcome of the game for us, but there's too much on the line for those types of things that seem absolutely clearly obvious to anyone that's ever played anything. Like you could sit my 6-year-old son down and ask if Jordan Poyer caught that ball and he would say yes, he absolutely caught the ball. Like it's pretty basic stuff. We should be able to have some nuance in it. Now if he's going the other way and he's facing the ground and the ball comes out and there's contact with the ground, like okay, now we can have a conversation if that's a catch or not. But the way that play played out, it's absolutely ridiculous. The league needs to take a look at that. I don't trust the league to figure this out in a way that makes sense.
For anybody who hasn't checked it out yet, make sure you're finding our newest show, our guys Josh and Don over at If the Walls Could Talk in Buffalo. And spot on here. The body language during the game was so telling, like watching 2 high school teams where both teams know who's better the entire time. Like it was so hysterical to watch them. Some of the plays where Mac Jones, will get to it here at the end, where he's scrambling, running for his life, it kind of looks like the rest of his teammates gave up and just stopped blocking or running their routes.
They don't believe in him. There's a couple of those throws in the red zone where you just saw the wide receivers. And I think they might have even been saying to the Bills DBs some things about what is going on in that offense in New England. I was reading some of that body language, but Albert Breer had a tweet at one point in the game here, which was fantastic and sort of plays to that comment, which was the Bills had a long touchdown called back, an interception overturned, are losing the turnover battle, and are leading by 17 with the ball in 12 minutes left. The gap between these two teams doesn't seem small right now. And I think that's was showing in the body language, and I think on display for everybody today. And I probably got fooled by the recent Patriots success, because I really thought this would be more of a grind out game, but I think the Bills came out and showed exactly what we saw last year. Maybe it wasn't the boat race, but the domination was still there.
Yeah, very much. And this is the fun part here, because the Patriots actually have a pretty good punt, and Michael Pilardi has it where it's pinned down, and their guy Schooler gets it at the 6-yard line, and the Bills are now pinned back. And hey, if the Patriots are going to get something going here, this is their chance. You got to either make it in. It wasn't going to be their offense. It was going to be, hey, can Judon or Duggar or McCourty or one of your guys make a play on defense when we're pinned in our own end zone. So we're starting there. This is at the point where I believe we're 8 minutes left in the third quarter. So right at the halfway point of the third quarter, the Bills are up 17-7. They're starting with the ball at their own 6-yard line.
Yeah, can we pull up the
yeah,
where is it? West Herr drive of the game.
Yeah.
I shared it with you. I tweeted right before this.
Yeah, you called it live.
I was frustrated,
I'll let you walk
Greg.
through it here.
Greg, I was frustrated. The defense is handing you the ball over and over again against a team that can't score against you. All you need to do is get to 20 points, and I feel good and we can win this game. Even though obviously they didn't need to get to 20 points in this one, but I just felt you got to get there. We got to win this game. And so I needed a drive of the game, a West Herr drive of the game. I even tagged West Herr in it, feeling so confident, and you get it. I mean, this might have been the best drive of the year for the Buffalo Bills. Let's go through it play by play here.
Yeah. So, what we're about to go through ends up being a 15-play, 95-yard, 9-minute, soul-crushing, throat-stomping touchdown drive. And it was consistent across there. Let me look real fast. Every single play gained positive yards through the entire drive. Always
going forward.
It actually only needed a couple of third downs to be converted, but 3 third down conversions through the drive. A lot of Bobby Hart is the extra offensive lineman, a lot of 2 tight ends, and a lot of, hey, we don't care if you know what's coming. I dare you to stop it. It starts with, in a jumbo set, Devin Singletary for 6 yards. Then Josh does go back in shotgun. They're running normal offense with a 7-yard slant to Gabe Davis. Come right back with James Cook for 3. James Cook for another 3. Here's one of the third downs where, again, Stephon Diggs makes a really nice contested catch while he's getting held by Jonathan Jones.
Like ridden in midair. Like crazy coverage for Diggs to be able to make that catch.
And he got it with 2 hands and he's kind of getting tackled as he go through and just like holding the ball up with one hand to like show Jones, hey, don't worry, I still got it here. Don't worry. Just palming the ball with one hand is hysterical.
Yeah.
Then come right back to the jumbo set with a yard to James Cook. Then Josh goes right back to Stephon Diggs for another 19. Then right back a check down to James Cook. Here we actually had a play where it looked a little sketchy where both Quessenberry and Dawson Knox got injured. And this is where my tweet about Justin Murray came up. And then we saw Bobby Hart at left tackle. And it somehow didn't even matter. They just kept getting yards. James Cook for 4 yards. Then James Cook for another 3. Then Singletary for another 3. Allen passed it to Diggs for 9 yards. Another run for Cook. Josh actually scrambled down to the 1-yard line. And maybe even uninjured Josh tries to put his shoulder down and go into the end zone. I was actually kind of happy he didn't try to go too crazy, and then come right back with the jumbo set and the Patriots absolutely knowing what was coming, and Singletary still ran right up the middle for a touchdown.
Yeah, they
over and over again, imposing their will.
Really attacked the middle of this defense, which was shocking. Gotcha's been a problem for that New England interior had been a problem previously for the Buffalo Bills. And I'm not huge on the Buffalo Bills interior offensive line, but they really went at him and they had success with it. Real quick too, we glossed over it. That 3rd and 4, I think they were in the red zone at that point or close to the red zone. They're at the New England 18. That 3rd and 4, that it was like a slant route to Diggs. He made a great play on that one. And it's one of those that just goes unnoticed where you've been running the ball down this team's throat, but now you're in the 3rd and 4 and it's a little tricky. You've been getting like 3 yards a carry ish. You haven't been busting out big runs. You need this first down. Who do you go to? And it's just, again, it felt like a magnet. The ball was on a rope. You knew it was going to get converted as soon as it left his hand because Diggs can just get enough space so quickly that Josh can see it and get it to him. It's a really special connection. And on that 3rd and 4, that's a big money down. You're driving. That's the difference between that being a kind of like, okay, they got another field goal. The game kind of drifts away to really putting your stamp on this game and showing the world that you're still at the top of the AFC.
Yeah, it was, all the cliches of completely taking the wind out of their sails, ending any possible doubt of what was there. And for everything else left here, every other play that they had was them scrambling around, Mac Jones running for his life.
A lot of guys made some good plays throughout the rest of this game, but we probably don't have to go through all the individual drives remaining. One I do want to talk about towards the end on that kind of crazy last drive of theirs where they're trying to get some points, and they ended up with the field goal points. Damar Hamlin gets ejected from that game. I get it. Again, this is a rule, but that's a tough one for me, dude. That is how safeties are taught.
I have no idea.
He had back-to-back great plays. He had a great play on the play before on the ball, and to me, that is like I've seen Jordan Poyer make that play. Obviously, not to the head, but like that's how you want him to attack when the ball's in the end zone. Man.
He didn't lead with his helmet. He didn't hit with the crown of his helmet.
No.
The play was called correctly, so I don't want to take.
It's a defenseless receiver. You can get really hurt.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. That was called correctly. The referees did the right thing. I even understand the rule. Like I just don't know. There is no coaching feedback or constructive criticism to give Damar Hamlin of, hey, next time, I guess try to go a couple inches lower to where you hit higher on the chest and not in the helmet. But in the split second, all you can
falling
do
like
is make a safe shoulder leading hit to break up the ball. And he did it perfectly. He did make the hit that broke up the catch and didn't let him make the catch. So it's so hard to ask him to do those things.
There's got to be some nuance to these rules.
And I will say, I don't know that rose to the level of deserving an ejection. Maybe that piece, I don't think
make it the penalty.
Yeah, like you can still give him the penalty and not eject him from the game because that wasn't egregious in any. I don't think in anyone's opinion.
If that play happens earlier in the game, man, I'm livid.
Oh yeah, if we lost Damar Hamlin for a longer stretch and had to have Cam Lewis play for a longer stretch of that game, jeez,
I don't like that. So again, I think the officials they probably went a little too far on that rule, but they did call these.
Probably
ones that we're frustrated with
the point of the game and the fact that it was getting a little chippy. It was probably something they might not call in like a second quarter of a playoff game. I don't think that's an ejection.
Sure. There's probably some nuance to that as well. But I really wish they would apply some like, okay, let's be able to either have a quick review of this and say, let's have an actual quick conversation. Like, was this egregious? Was there anything the player could do? Because at some point too, with these players, Greg, you put the players in harm of overthinking that moment or maybe hurting another player with some friendly fire. Like these guys are taught and rep to do this stuff. I just think it was a little overdone.
Yeah. So I also want to laugh at Bill Belichick real quick here. So after that play with Damar Hamlin being ejected, you still had 3 more reps of Mac Jones literally running around for his life. One of which
receivers just gave up.
AJ Epinesa did sack him. Others where the receivers just completely gave up on the play. Yeah. And then he kicked a field goal, which is not out of the realm of possibility. Yes,
Doug Marrone.
When you're down 3 scores, technically one of the scores needed to be a field goal, and and then he did kick the onside kick. But if you're gonna go through with the hey guys, we're still in this, we're gonna go for the field goal because that's the right strategic play, and then you're gonna eat your timeouts and not even keep playing through it. That was a really pathetic decision in that moment to go through. And I just enjoyed it thoroughly to watch that kind of moment where they had to accept our pity of us taking the knee.
I think he saw the body language of his own team. I think there's there's got to be internal frustrations and turmoil with this offense and how it's gone. We've heard from the beginning of training camp in New England, like this is the worst they've ever seen. Like people are like basically laughing at this offense. And now you're seeing it play out in big games on national TV. I'm sure there's frustrations in that locker room. And my guess is Bill Belichick just wanted to get the hell out of there by this point in the fourth quarter. It took them, Greg, how long did that drive to get the field goal? They needed urgent points. They only had to drive like 60 yards.
6 minutes.
They only had to drive 60 yards to get points, and they needed them urgently. Yeah, and it was 17 play, 6-minute drive. And
I was joking in my game day thread of by all means, down 3 scores, keep checking down your way to come back.
Yes,
go right ahead.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I'm glad actually Herb Street pointed out the reason they had to do that is the Bills were dictating. The Bills defense was dictating to Mac Jones that they weren't giving him anything. And we'll give you all this all day. Take 6 minutes off the clock. Fantastic. We don't care. It keeps Josh Allen off the field, right? Like, go for it. We don't want to play him anyway right now. So fantastic job by Leslie Frazier, Sean McDermott in this game to just they're playing totally different games out there on the field tonight.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is even in that moment, I would have told Sean McDermott to shove his pity. I still would have taken the timeouts and like just go through the motions of like, don't do the, hey, we're doing the strategic thing and then immediately give up when the other team does it. Like, I just thought that was such a weird look.
The game's that you're pretty much 100% chance to lose once they get the onside though, right? Like once Gabe Davis recovers that, you don't.
We got off
because then you have to.
They had 3 timeouts, so no, you could still get. You could run the 3 timeouts if they run the ball 3 times. You can do that in under like 12 seconds, get the ball back, and still try to score a touchdown and get an onside kick. Like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they were going to.
Yeah, right.
But if you're going to stop to kick the field goal because, hey, all we need to do is now do that, and you still did the onside kick. Why were they doing onside kick? They weren't going to drive down a score anyways. So if you're kicking the field goal and doing the onside kick, to then immediately give up and eat 3 timeouts is a weird look.
I don't mind it at all, man. I think it's okay to at some point realize, all right, let's just get out of here. This is not, this isn't our night. Like, let's get out of here.
But then run the 4th and 21, loft it into the end zone for to try for the touchdown and, you know, at least go down with some dignity. I don't know. Either way, it just I love the fact that
I like the fact that
this team
they look like a drought era Bills team where they can only get field goals. They look stupid at the end of the game. They're making dumb plays. They get one big play that gives you some hope. That was all very droughty Bills era game for the Patriots, and that is fun.
It's delightful. Yeah. So we end up, ending the game there. 24-10. The Bills did have to kneel the ball 3 times, but everything kind of comes back in what is a weirdly dominant 24-10 win that they were never really in any true threat for the game, even though they technically were winning at 1.7-3. But from that point on, just a really controlling, comfortable win and something that now the Bills are in a position where obviously plenty of injuries that we need to keep track of and a much needed mini bye here. These 10 days off are really critical, hoping that Dean Dawkins back. I didn't
even talk about the Vaughn news.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in a moment here. I don't think that we had any additional injuries in this game. Trey White went to the blue tent and came back in.
Mm-hmm.
Dawson Knox came back in.
There was Josh Allen scare for a second when he twisted that ankle for a second.
I think he was hopping up and down in frustration. Whatever.
No, they showed the replay. He rolled his ankle.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah. There was a little slight roll, not like a total roll sprain type thing, but it scared me for a second when I saw the replay. I was like, oh no, I don't want that.
Shout out our man Pat's in here. Listen to us. We love Pat Moran, and he agreed with me, so I just wanted to put it up on the screen.
Right. I don't know if I would take that as a victory lap. No offense to Pat.
Nah, we love Pat. So let's switch over a little bit here. So obviously the 10 days back, critical that we, Tremaine Edmonds made a huge difference tonight. Trey White playing for the full game looked really good. I do love the idea of Odell Beckham Jr. coming to spend the weekend in Buffalo now after this dominant win. Von Miller and Stephon Diggs at Josh Allen's house with OBJ. He's not leaving. I think feeling the energy of Josh Allen compared to the other guys in those other 2 franchises, I think Josh Allen is maybe the one trump card we have that, Dallas is an awesome. I was just in Dallas for the week. Dallas is an awesome city. It was a fantastic city. The weather is better. There's lots of good things. Jerry Jones has more money. There's all kinds of things that are real that are selling points for Dallas, but they don't have Josh Allen. And I really think there's a chance that he can be just enough to be able to get him. I still think it's probably better than 50-50 that he goes to Dallas, but I think there's a chance that Josh Allen can have that energy that he's like, oh man, I got to play with that guy. I think there's a chance.
I think what is going to be the selling point to OBJ when he gets to Buffalo is going to be, Herb Street talked about it in the meetings leading up for the game, all the pre-meetings, is this team's real close. The culture here is a real thing. I think OBJ's been in enough different football teams and enough buildings now where he knows what that looks like and what a good team is and what that means. And Vaughn's talked about it. Like he said, once OBJ gets here and sees what it is we're building here and what we have here, he's going to want to come play with us. So I do think that I agree with you, playing with Josh will be a big part of it. But I think the culture that they've built in this family atmosphere and how welcoming that is will be something that OBJ maybe drifts towards for this one. I mean, it's really only for like 2 months, right?
Yeah, that's it. So we'll see where it goes. You know, I think there's obviously a couple things in play. Of course, I think it's going to be cold and rainy this weekend. We couldn't have a nice sunny day.
Yeah, but Josh has a mansion. Just hang out at his mansion.
Yeah, it's fine. It's actually 50 on Saturday, so I think it's okay. Right. To add to that, the gentleman that will be joining him there, we did see the news earlier today. Von Miller, you have been really good about describing this, that the way that he talks, the way that he is always only putting positive things out there into the universe, that, you know, we obviously saw a great example of that. He was already talking about wanting to come back to play in the Jets game here in 10 days. And the Bills today put him on IR, which obviously does sit him down for this. They did it strategically because if they did it before this game counts as one of the 4 games that he can miss. So he'll miss this game, then the Jets, then the Dolphins, then the Bears on Christmas Eve, and would be eligible to come back for the Bengals game on the day after New Year's for week 17 and week 18 against the Patriots. So he could have 2 weeks to ramp back up. And I know there was a scrum with the beat reporters and Brandon Beane, and he did, you know, state that is the plan. The plan is for him to come back at the end of the season, to come back and contribute. No one knows that for sure. There are things and complications that could come up, but it does sound like that's the plan at this point.
Yeah. And they didn't get him. They got him for January, right? Yeah. Von Miller, all this was nice and extra. We talked about at the beginning of the season. Like, we didn't even need Von Miller to ramp up the way he did early in the year. So not good that he's missing time and not good that he's hurt. Like, there's nothing there. But if he is indeed going to be able to have like 2 games or even a game and a half in terms of like snap count to ramp up to the playoffs,
couple snaps,
I'm comfortable there. Yeah, just get him some reps in those 2 games and then get him ready for the playoffs. I think Von's a guy too, as a vet in this league. He knows what he needs to do. He's been through this injury before. He's been through all this stuff before. He's going to know what he needs to do to get his body ready for playoff football. So I feel pretty good there that of the type of guy he is, and this is why he paid all that money for that training facility, that real nice training facility.
We already got 8 sacks in the 10 games that he did play, and we're gonna have him for the stretch that comes up to matter. So if maybe these 4 weeks even let him kind of refresh the batteries for everything else, so we get, you know, top-notch play from him the rest of the way, I think that it, you know, could still be really special.
Hopefully, yeah.
So any other thoughts here? We had an awesome show, awesome amount of people in the chat here. Make sure you help us out. Go and hit that like button. It really, really makes a difference. Tells other people about this show, or even beyond that, tell some people about the show. If you enjoy what we're doing here and you have fun listening to everything that we're doing, a great way, you know, people ask us all the time, a great way to help. What can they do to help? You can actually sign up to be a OnePass member. You can come in, be able to actually sign up to be a OnePass member, get access to all of our exclusive members only content, in-depth analysis, you know, all kinds of different breakdowns. And one of the best parts, especially on nights like tonight, being able to be in the Cover One Slack channel, to be in there, have access to everything on unlimited devices, get an awesome t-shirt and decal, everything that's there. But the Slack channel is really awesome and a fun way to be able to hang out with some really, good informed Bills fans who are always going back and forth. It's the latest place for any news that comes up, anything that's there. Really fun time for it. So if you're looking to find a fun way to help us out, sign up for One Pass. The link is in the show description right below. And it is on sale for $57 because we are on our way to Super Bowl 57.
Preach. Woo. You ain't lying. Yeah, no, my thoughts are really, my last thought is I was thinking about a pregame. It stinks right now that the Bills are so good because the expectation is that they have to win, right? Like they're expected to win. And so winning isn't good enough. And you have to win in this way. Otherwise people aren't happy. And so it's a tough spot for them to be in. I'm thankful that they won an AFC East game because I saw the rumblings coming from the beat and from the media of like wanting to really jump on what's wrong with this team and are they in more trouble than we think. And so to kind of get that just out of the way that they've beaten an AFC East team as you're getting into this grind here is really good. All positive things. And I think that some of the things that we had concerns with over the last 3-4 weeks of football, I think we saw some things trend in the right direction in this game that maybe look encouraging. They over the last couple of weeks, you're starting to see some more running backs inserted into this offense, a little more creativity as we go here with this Dorsey offense getting going. So I'm excited that things look like they're trending in the right direction when you need it the most, right, through this stretch of games coming up.
So another thing I'm going to mention out there's some fun rooting interest for Bills fans this weekend. So if you are looking for some fun things to root for, there's several. You can root for the Jets to lose at the Vikings. I'm not really worried about the Jets, but that's still fun. You can root for the Titans to lose at the Eagles. That's another good one to be able to root for. You can root for Deshaun Watson to look terrible against the Texans. That's a fun thing to root for. But the two big ones are at 4:00. There are two critical games. The Dolphins are at the 49ers. That is definitely a important game. And honestly, the last losable game I see on the Chiefs schedule, the Chiefs are at the Bengals. The rest of the Chiefs schedule is, don't get me wrong, they can slip up at any time. They lost to the Colts. Anything can happen.
Given Sunday,
but after this game, it's at the Broncos, the Texans, the Seahawks, the Broncos, and the Raiders. I don't think they're going to lose any of those games.
Let's ride.
So if we can get a Bengals win at home against the Chiefs, that will put the Bills, and if we got both of those, just those two, if the 49ers beat the Dolphins in San Francisco, and if the Bengals beat the Chiefs in Cincinnati, the Bills immediately go back to the number 1 overall seed with the tiebreakers in hand over the Chiefs and make the Chiefs have to play out all those games that they won't have the option to take anything easy or to rest any guys. So definitely two critical games to watch for, plus some other fun ones to root for of what's out there. So definitely, keep those in mind. That's fun that the Bills already got the W in hand for this week. But as far as the rest of the schedule goes, the Dolphins have a tougher stretch. But the last, really stressful game for the Chiefs and the Bengals, I think the Chiefs are favored by 2. So even Vegas sees this as a legitimate coin flip game. If the Bengals can pull this out at home, the Bills can be right back in it and ready. And even if the Dolphins do beat the 49ers, the Bills obviously have the head-to-head game coming up with the Dolphins and can take first in the division right back. But it's possible with those two games, the Bills can go right back to the number 1 seed this week with that 10-day break going into the Jets game.
KC's going to smoke the Bengals, right, after that playoff game?
You would certainly think so. You would certainly think so. But the Bengals are playing better, getting Joe Mixon back, getting Jamar Chase back. They can go shot for shot. I see the Bengals as the third best team. I'm more concerned about them than even maybe the Dolphins. We'll see as things go along here, but I'm interested in both those games. I'm going to be watching them intently.
Yes. I am too tired because here it is 12:30 a.m. It's so far past my bedtime, Greg. It's not even silly. And my kids are waking up no matter what time I go to bed. They're waking up at the same exact time. So it's too late for me to be making any crazy predictions about who's third best right now in the AFCs. But I bet we'll have a nice playoff primer coming up for the people in about a month.
I can't wait. I can't wait. So thank you guys. The chat was awesome tonight. Again, if you haven't had a chance yet, please hit that like button on your way out. It really makes a big difference. That's how the algorithm works. Go press the like button. Please help us out. Come sign up for One Pass. Make sure you check out all the rest of our shows. We're going to have great content leading all the way up to the Jets game and some friends to come back in to the Jets game as we get ready to preview that next week. But on behalf of Aaron Quinn, on behalf of our fantastic producer, Chris Kepner, I am Greg Tompsett. You've been listening to Cover One Buffalo, and we